Alright guys, today we're going to talk about the quadratic formula. So I told you guys that we're going to be able to use this to solve any quadratic no matter what. So if you can't factor it, you don't want to complete the square, you're going to be able to do the quadratic formula. You're going to need a calculator, so if you didn't bring yours, go grab it. Go grab one because you're going to need to use it. As a reminder, you're going to do these notes. When you are done, you're going to show the substitute your notes to show that you prove that you're done. And then I'm going to trust you that you're going to put your phone back in the caddy, and then work on your homework. Okay, I'm not there to guide you, but please do the right thing. Okay, the first thing, the quadratic formula. Okay, I'm gonna give this to you for your little mini quiz on block day. That 5 questions worth 15 points. It is not given to you on the air test, and so it's good to know. Okay, this first time I'm going to give it to you, but you need to know it. Okay, so the quadratic formula is when we're solving things that are ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So number one thing, it has to equal 0. Okay, and we want to go ahead and put it in order. And so the quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, and that entire thing is divided by 2a. Okay, I know that looks like a crazy big formula. Okay, it's not too bad. Okay, the story that I usually help to remember it is the negative boy was undecided if he wanted to go to the radical party. Being a square, he didn't go and missed out meeting 4 amazing chicks. He was so upset that he didn't get over it until 2 a.m. Okay, you can also remember it by like a little song. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, the good news is we're going to be able to do this in our calculator. So we're going to solve this one together. First thing, we need to make it equal to 0, so we're going to subtract 8 on both sides. We've got 2x squared minus 5x minus 8 is 0. That means our a is 2, our b is negative 5, our c is negative 8. We plug this in, we get x equals negative b, comes out to be 5, plus or minus the square root of negative 5 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 8. That's all over 2 times 2. Okay? What's nice, you can put this stuff right there in your calculator. Okay, so you open up your calculator, we're going to go parentheses, negative 5 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 8. So that comes out to be 89 is that stuff in the middle. So we've got 5 plus or minus the square root of 89 over 4. Okay, you can put that in your calculator. We're going to go 5 plus the square root of 89. I'm going to hit enter and then divide by 4. To get 3.61. Okay, you could do it all at one time, but if we do that, we need to do parentheses 5 plus the square root of 89. Get out of the square root and close your parentheses, and then divide by 4. You can do that if you want to. It's completely up to you, and it's 3.61 is one of our answers, but it's a quadratic, so we get another answer. Okay, so we're going to come back here, and instead of 5 plus square root of 89, we're going to do 5 minus the square root of 89. You're totally allowed to retype it in if you want to. But what you can also do is come back up here and hit enter, and it brings your equation back up. And we're going to scroll over. Instead of plus square root of 89, we're just going to change it to minus. And then you're going to hit enter there, and you get negative 1.11. Those are your two answers where that crosses the x-axis. Okay, you could have done it by completing the square, but the only problem with that now is we got a 2x squared. That's going to be really tough to do completing the square. Okay, one part of it now is called the discriminant. Okay, it's literally written right above it. The discriminant is the part of the quadratic formula described by the b squared minus 4ac. It's the stuff under the radical. Okay, if that number comes out to be greater than 0, so if that number is positive, that means there's going to be 2 solutions. You're going to cross the x-axis twice. Okay, you're going to do one for plus, one for minus. If that number equals 0, there's going to be one solution. Okay? And if it's less than 0, we're not allowed to take the square root of a negative. It's impossible. It gives you a non-real answer. That means there are no real solutions. Okay? If there are two solutions, that means it crosses twice. That's two solutions. If it equals 0, that means it just touches, and there's one solution. Okay? If it comes like that, it means it doesn't touch, which means there are 0 solutions. Okay? What I would like you to try to do is go ahead and try, we're going to do the first one here. We'll do this one together. We got x squared minus 12x plus 20 is 0, which means a is 1, b is negative 12, c is 20. We go x equals negative b plus or minus the square roots b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. Okay, if I do this stuff here, I get 144 minus 80. 144 minus 80 is 64. So I've got 12 plus or minus the square root of 64 over 2. The square root of 64 is just 8. So I've got 12 plus 8 over 2. That's 20 over 2, and that's 10. I also get 12 minus 8 over 2. That's 4 divided by 2, and that's 2. There are my two answers. I could have done that by factoring. I could have done that by completing the square. Okay? It all works out okay. You're going to get the exact same answer. It doesn't matter. Okay? I want you to go ahead and try this next one. Try B. Okay, you know the drill. Hit pause, try it, see if you get the right answers, and then check. And if not, then just fix it. All right, already good. That means A is 1, B is 8, C is 5. So x equals negative 8 plus or minus the square roots 8 squared minus 4 times 1 times 5 all over 2 times 1. 64 minus 20 is 44. Negative 8 plus or minus the square root of 44 divided by 2. Okay, put that into your calculator. Okay, negative 8 plus the square root of 44, and then we're going to divide that by 2. You get negative 0.68. And then you go back here, and then we go negative 8 minus the square root of 44. Divide that by 2, and you get negative 7.32. There's your two solutions. Okay? We can also use this now to graph. Okay? Graphing function to check your answers. So x equals negative b plus or minus the square roots b squared minus 4 times 35 all over 2 times 4. Okay, calculator. Okay, you get 24 plus or minus the square root of 16 over 8. Square root of 16 is just 4. So 24 plus 4 over 8 is 28 over 8, and that is 3.5. 24 minus 4 over 8 is 20 divided by 8, and that is 2.5. So it tells us we've got an answer at 2.5 and 3.5. Okay? So to find our vertex, is whatever's right between the two. Directly between 2.5 and 3.5 is 3. So we know our answer, our vertex is right there on 3. So if we pull up Desmos just to check, okay, so we're going to put in Desmos.com. Ooh, that didn't work. Yes, there we go. Okay, we're going to start graphing. We're going to go ahead and graph this one. We've got x squared minus 24x plus 35, 2.5, 3.5, and 3. So that's how you can go ahead and sketch that guy. Okay. And it looks just like that. Okay, find the answers for B now. X squared plus 4x plus 6 equals 0. So we've got x equals negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. We got negative 4 plus or minus the square root. 16 minus 24. 16 minus 4 is negative 8. You allowed to take the square root of negative 8? No, you cannot. It means there's no solutions, and so we can't graph that guy, which means it's not going to cross the x-axis. So since this guy is positive, that means it looks up. So our equation is going to be something like that guy, and we're going to have to graph it a different way. Okay, we could always find our vertex, make our table that way, things like that. Okay, now to find the discriminant gives us a little bit of chance to kind of figure out how many answers, how much time is it going to take. So all we're going to look at to find the discriminant, remember, is just b squared minus 4ac. So in this case, we're going to check 11 squared minus 4 times 2 times 15. We can put it straight in your calculator. Okay, we're going to check 11 squared minus 4 times 2 times 15. 1. That number is positive. Okay, so because that number is positive, that means there are 2 solutions. It doesn't tell us what the solutions are, it just tells us there are 2 solutions. So the graph looks something like that, where it crosses twice. Okay, looking over here, x squared plus 2x plus 9 is 0. So we're going to check the discriminant. We're going to go 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times 9. That's 4 minus 36. That's negative 32. Well, that's a negative number, which means there are no solutions. Okay, so if we graph that guy, it's going to look something like that, where it's not going to cross the x-axis. Okay, I want you to go ahead and try C, see what your discriminant is and how many solutions you're going to get. All right, negative 8 squared minus 4 times 1 times 16. Be very careful. Put the negative in parentheses. That becomes 64 minus 64, which is 0. So because it's 0, that means there is one solution. Since there's one solution, that means that graph just clicks right here and just touches one time. Okay? Quadratic formula. It's not bad. It takes a little bit of work, but you can solve any possible quadratic by using that. Okay? Go show your notes to the sub that you've completed all sides. Okay? Then put your phone back in the caddy and start working on your homework. Tomorrow we're going to have a homework check on completing the square, and then we'll start reviewing and doing all stuff together and practicing. Okay, hope you had a great day. I'll see you guys tomorrow. See ya. Bye.